students need to walk anywhere late at night, that they can have someone walk with them, so they're never walking alone and they never feel unsafe on campus. So I think with the USC, just helping make sure that students are connected with those services, with that infrastructure we have on campus, will make sure that all students at Western feel safe and remain safe.
Can you just clarify what it means to partner with Foot Patrol?
When I say partner with Foot Patrol, I think us and Foot Patrol have a similar priority in the safety of students. I'm not saying that we need to provide funding or provide our own support for, but there are ways we can promote to students the use and existence of Foot Patrol, and I think that that's something that the USC could absolutely do, because ultimately it makes sure students are safe.
Thank you. And this question will be addressed to the Bellman platform first. And simply put, without flowery language, why are you running for an executive position?
Without flowery language. I said it before and I say it again. I don't think it's flowery language to say that we want to make sure students' lives are better, inside and outside of the classroom. I say it like that because I don't want to use flowery language. I think that is fairly direct. I know the USC, I've been a volunteer, I've been a staff member, I've been a counselor, I know the issues the USC has, I know I can lead the organization, and I know that we need to make sure that our priorities in order, to make sure that everything we do fits that end, so to make students' lives better at Western.
I'll go very quickly. I want to run for this job because it's the best job in the world. So rarely is there an opportunity you can serve your peers, represent your peers, solve problems, and build community. And that's an awesome opportunity, and I would love to do this job, to do just that.
Where Matt says this is the best job in the world, I think that Western is the best school in the world. The reason I'm running for this position is because of all of you in the audience. If I can have the ability to help every single one of you and every single student in some way, whatever that is, do something that's empowering on this campus, that's fun on this campus, that's an important experience to them, that's the most important thing, whatever it is that they want to do.
And I'm running for this job because I love working for the students. I think it is one of the most meaningful jobs that you can seek, and I love that it's possible to make some meaningful change for students, and I will tirelessly work to doing that.
Thank you. The next question will go to the Health and Slate first. What are some ideas or desires that you have which possibly aren't reflected significantly on your platform?
One of the biggest desires that I would like to see happen is fixing academic counseling in social science. This is something when I was the social science president, I worked really hard to try and fix. Ultimately, after meetings with Adam Furnell and Vice Provost Dirksen and constantly talking to my peers about it, and very little was done. We tried literally every avenue that we could, and very little was done. I would love to see improvements to academic counseling. The reason it wasn't put on the platform was because it's specific to social science, and I don't necessarily know the academic counseling experience across the board, but it is certainly something that needs improvement in social science, and I would love to see that.
I think one thing that we didn't specifically address in the platform is just making sure that clubs are supported. It's as USC president, I would oversee the USC as a whole, but the club system isn't managed or run by me specifically. But I have heard issues from club executives before in just the communication with them and the support that they have. And so I think just making sure that the club system is fully supported at Western is one thing that I really do care about, but didn't fit quite on our platform.
All right, thank you. And Mr. Bellman, yours will be the first one to answer this, and then we'll come back again. The USC has traditionally had what some might call, I'm sorry? Is there a point of order or something on the floor?
Steve. It was a Steve. You got this, man.
Oh, thank you. Sorry, I heard my own echo.
Gesundheit.
All right. Back to the issues. The USC has traditionally had what some might call a close relationship with university administration regarding student advocacy. For example, the strategic plan. Do you think this is a positive or a negative? Do you plan on changing this relationship? And if so, why?
I'm going to interpret close as in too friendly, perhaps. I think that there's two aspects to to advocacy and the relationship with administration. You need to keep the lines of communication open. You can't be completely adversarial to administration because you'll never get any issues accomplished if you do that. At the same time though, we can't be afraid to take hard stances on issues we disagree with. And I think that's okay if we do take those hard stances. At the same time though, an individual has more of a responsibility. You're in a position for a year, but you can't ruin that relationship for years to come. So just making sure that you have that balance, that you have those lines of communication open, but that you aren't afraid to talk about the issues in a strong way, to fight for what students really need.
Thank you.
I mean, it's the closest relationship you can possibly get in the sense that our building is literally located on their property and we pay millions of dollars in occupancy fees to them every single year. There's definitely an inherent tension in lobbying your landlord for certain things. That said, I mean, there's obviously areas in which we must cooperate with the university, and I'm not intending to take an adversarial stance. But the fact of the matter is, as a student leader who's elected for one term, you cannot be afraid to stand up and say no, and say, why? Because I care, that's why. I mean, there's high expectations on student leaders. We have 1 year to make a difference, and if there's anyone in the world that should not be afraid to take a stance, it's someone who has only a 1-year tenure and is here to represent Western students.
Thank you. And I'm going to direct this question first to the health man slate. In your platforms, both teams state that they want to make the university more affordable for students and make information regarding the fees that students pay more available. How will you make the university more affordable for students? How does your plan differ from your opponents? And why is your plan better? And there's a specific request to let your vice presidential candidates talk.
Perfect, because I was planning on doing that anyways. So our platform has focused a lot on financial access to university. This is something that I think affects almost every student, and it's something that's very, very important. And I think that financial access to university is both internal and external, and I really want to work with Emily on that. When I talk about internal advocacy, I'm talking about making sure that our students know about OSAP, that our students know how to get about the ins and outs of the system and know how to navigate it properly. Externally, we have to be working with USC, and the reason why that I think our proposal, even though it's similar to our opponents, the reason why I think it's better is that we've realized that there is an internal and an external piece of this advocacy. We're going to work very, very hard to make sure that students know the tools available to them and that have the resources to properly navigate the OSAP system so that they can be as successful as possible within the confines of our student financial aid system as it currently exists, while trying to improve it as much as possible.
Thank you.
I'd just like to echo a lot of the sentiments that Jen has just made, because our platforms are similar a lot at this point. One thing I'd like to focus on is the financial literacy as far as an early outreach program. When you teach students who are coming in or plan on going post-secondary education the ins and outs of the system and do that as a preemptive action, then that can really help down the road when they get to Western and when they learn to navigate the financial aid office at Western. So going forward, I think that's the most positive step that we have to ensuring that students can really afford their education and have the tools available to be able to afford their education.
Thank you. I do have the final question for the evening. It'll first go to the Bellman slate, then to the Helton slate. And it's written in what I can only assume is, I can only describe as a somewhat angry-looking font. So I'm going to try to read it that way. What are you going to do about the UCC main atrium doors? The well-trained architect who designed these doors put them in a semicircle. This is highly unacceptable and an architectural anomaly. It's difficult for me to hold the door open and be a courteous citizen, not to mention they are hideous. Thank you, #opening doors.
Honestly, the first thing I want to say to that is I agree. Whenever I'm trying to leave the UCC atrium, I can never seem to find a door. I always want to try and walk through the glass, and I think lately we've just seen a lot of broken doors as well. I think it's not on our platform, but I think things like that really do get in students' way is something that we care about, we want to talk about. It's something that if we're in office, I don't know if we're not going to necessarily advocate to reconstruct the whole entrance, because I don't know if that's the best use of students' money, but at least make sure, at the very least, that the doors are working properly and that students can get in and out in a proper way. I don't know if they were designed like that for a reason. Maybe it has to do with airflow. I'm not an expert, I'm not an engineer, but I do think just at the very least, we will make sure that those doors are working properly. And I guess that's all I'll say about that.
Thank you.
We intend to utilize the existing communication resources and allocate proper funding, utilizing the proper restructuring and governance tactics to ensure that the optimization of differentiation and stabilization are ultimately at the best interest of what we were trying to do, is to build a better student experience and make sure that Western is your home, while building the momentum and ensuring that all of you are getting the best deal possible.
Sorry, could I just get a translation? I'm kidding.
Can I elaborate on that? The answer is I said nothing.
All right, well, thank you very much. And I'd just like to give before we ask for your closing statements, I'd just like to give a big round of applause to all 6 of the candidates who came out. It's very hard to stand up to this. So, at this time, I'm going to give both slates 2 minutes to give any sort of closing remarks that they'd like to, starting with the Elton slate.
Oh, I'm sorry. So I guess I'll take this opportunity, first of all, to thank everyone who stayed here throughout the whole debate. I'd like to just reiterate, we really didn't get a chance to go through that much of a platform, which is an unfortunate reality of the structure of this debate. But I'd like to list off to you what we are going to do if we are elected in office. Not what we are going to talk about, not necessarily what we are going to advocate for, but what you are going to see if we are elected. We are going to deliver better programming by decentralizing the budget so that our program managers are able to deliver concerts and both entertaining and academic speakers that do not lose massive amounts of money. We know this is possible, and we are going to do it. We are going to decentralize bus pass pickup to take the burden away from the Mustang Lounge and move it into the professional schools. We are going to freeze fees within the USC base fee so that we are not reaching into your pocket at the end of the year to make up for a decision that we made earlier. We are going to bring homecoming to campus in an awesome way by partnering up with the university, with alumni, and with maybe promotions companies in the city who are willing to work with this. We are going to bring chargers to Weldon, much like Jen and Emily have done at Huron. And ultimately, we are going to fight to make sure you are getting the best deal possible. Jen, Emily, anything to add?
I think Matt forgot a really important one. We want to bring bus shelters to the main gates, possibly heated. We'll see what we can do. But at the end of the day, we are willing to work for you. We are willing to work to make sure that you get a better deal. I know that that's our buzzword, but it's absolutely true.
The last thing I'll say super quickly is, like Matt said, we haven't had a full chance to get into everything that we would love to talk about with you. So we'll be in the UCC for the next 2 weeks. We'll be across campus. Please come talk to us. We want to answer your questions. We want to have a discussion. We want to hear what's important to you. And make sure you tell all your friends that. This is about getting feedback and information and having a great conversation about what's going on campus. So make sure that you use that opportunity, and we're here to do that.
Thank you.
Thank you everyone who came out and stayed. Thank you to our opponents on the other side of the stage for some lively debate. We're really excited to be running this election, and we really hope that you like our platform. Our platform is based not on the different portfolios we're in, but on our joint vision for the USC. That's the idea of the slate, and that's one thing that we really care about, is making sure that we have a joint and unified vision of the USC. We have a lot of ideas, and I cannot list them all out right now, but please do check out our platform. There's a lot we want to do, there's a lot we want to fight for, there's a lot we're going to do ourselves on campus, and there's a lot we want to do within the city, within the USC, just to make the lives of students better inside and outside of the classroom. And That's what we stand for. That's who we are. We are Team Bellman, and thank you so much for listening to us.
If there's one thing I could add, it's just, if I could give this one word, it would be proud. I'm proud to be part of this slate, and I'm proud to be in front of you all, and I'm proud to have the opportunity to represent Western students on this level.
And for me, being a student is fun, it's rewarding, it's exciting, but being a student is also really hard. Sometimes it's expensive, it's stressful. Students don't just need support, they deserve it, and we fully intend on bringing something to the USC executive that's going to make sure that all students are getting the support, not just the support that they need, but the support that they deserve as Western students. So thank you so much, everyone, for giving us the opportunity to talk to you, and we can't wait to meet some of you after and throughout the next 2 weeks. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, and that brings about the
Thank you.
conclusion of our debate.
Thank you.
So before everyone runs off, just a couple of quick thank yous to the people who came together to make this all possible. I'd like to thank, first of all, Event and Support Services, who kept everything running.